Welcome back to another Old Head Mindset podcast. We have another American Living Abroad series story. And this story is where wisdom meets real life and where experience is our greatest teacher. I'm your host, Ricky, and today is a special one for the American Living Abroad series. Today's guest is someone I've known for 37 years. He was my roommate, he was my best man, and we served in the United States Navy together as 20-year-olds. And in that time, we built a brotherhood that's deeper than friendship. He's originally from Port Arthur, Texas, and his Australian journey started when he came to Australia, got married, and started a family. And some 37 years later, still living his Australian dream, he's entering a new chapter in life, stronger and wiser. He's recently just paid off his mortgage, and that would make him mortgage-free at 54. We're gonna talk about that, because that's not just success, that's discipline, and that's growth. Welcome to the show, my brother, Lee Rose.
Hey, thanks. Thank you, Rick. Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. First of all, I'd like to say hello to all the ex-Navy men and women and dependent who I had the pleasure of serving with in Exmouth during my time. What's up? What it do?
All right, brother, let's go, let's just start off going back to Port Arthur, Texas.
Yes.
You're originally from Port Arthur, Texas. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yes, I'm from Port Arthur, Texas. Population 50,000 plus. My father is originally from Port Arthur, Texas. My mom's is from Louisiana. My mom's and her parents, my grandparents, left Louisiana to pursue a better life and better job opportunities. My grandfather ended up in Port Arthur, Texas because of what Port Arthur had to offer back then. Port Arthur was a primary hub for the oil refineries back then, so they made the move there. I'm Port Arthur, Texas, first generation on my dad's side, second generation on my mom's side. And remember, it's nothing to play with.
Now, with your grandfather, did you hear any stories about what kind of barriers they might have encountered when he moved from Louisiana to Port Arthur?
Well, I'm sure back then in the 50s, the racism would have been thick, especially down south. They never really shared those experiences with me, but we knew of them. And we knew about the blockades and setbacks that, black people experienced back then. So, and even till this day, it's still systemic. But yeah, that was pretty tough.
Right.
I'm sure for them. But personally, I can't recall like experiencing anything direct, but I'm pretty sure it was there indirectly.
Now, let's go back to when you were in school. And as a young man in high school, what was your dreams coming up as a young man?
Well, coming up as a young man, you watch a lot of television. You want to be that next person, whether it's a sports star or a movie star or Bruce Lee, but that reality kicks in and you realize that, hey, you need to do something after you graduate. So I look at it like this. Before graduating, I decided that there was only four options after leaving Port Arthur. So one of those options were you graduate from high school, you get a job, or two, you get a job and pay for your education, or three, you earn a scholarship, whether it's sports or academics, or four, you join the military. I chose four as I joined the military, and that was my vehicle to leaving Port Arthur, Texas. My immediate family, a brother and a sister, and then when my parents divorced, we ended up living with our grandparents. My mother had younger siblings that was just under her, not close to my age, but yeah, we were all in that same house together. So that was, pretty much a huge family. My parents divorced when I was about 6 or maybe 7 years old. It's hard because you no longer had that freedom that you used to have when we had our house. So I used to have my own room. So now with my grandparents, and I got uncles that's only like 5 years older than myself, and that's a pecking order there. So I had to go to the bottom of that pecking order and work my way up. But the respect was there. So
that's life skills. You
life skills, yes, for sure. We never went to restaurants back then. It was always home cooking. You know, nothing beats that Southern cuisine. That's what I grew up on. And I remember when I first came out here and I had some seafood. You know, your crabs, your lobster, your shrimps and prawns, all that was served cold on ice. They just gave you a lemon and some type of dipping sauce. And that was so bland and tasteless and like, God damn, come on, people. You know, you know, like I said, I'm from the South, man. That seafood, that got to be on point. But they're getting better now. They're getting better now.
When you went into high school, you play any sports?
Grew up playing football, played baseball a little bit, ran track, but football was pretty much the sport that we banked on.
When you first joined the Navy and you found your way over to Australia, what was it like?
Finding my way to Australia, that was, I remember, I remember getting off the Mac flight, which is a military airplane, getting off the airplane, and it's always cold on a Mac flight. So I had my pea coat on. So when we landed in Exmouth, it was November 1989. So in America, that's wintertime. In the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, summertime, complete opposite. So it's about 110 degrees. I remember getting off, it's hot as hell, and I'm being greeted by 5,000 flies. So I'm getting off from killing these flies, trying to wave them off me. The welcoming committee on the ground thinking I'm saluting them, but I'm trying to salute these damn flies off my head and out my face. That was really rough. The Australian salute, the Aussie salute, that's right, the Aussie salute. And I have a question that anybody that's serving Exmouth, one of the three things has happened to you. Have you ever swallowed a fly, or have you ever spit out a fly, or both? If any of those things happen, send it in to Rick so we'll know.
Yeah, I know.
Because I know I swallowed a few flies.
That was one of the questions someone asked me.
Yeah.
Rick, have you ever swallowed a fly? That's a strange question.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Well, you're going to swallow a few here.
Oh, yeah.
And it take long.
Word.
Perfect timing. So you open that mouth and that fly down the throat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Protein.
And so how old were you when you landed in Exmouth?
I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yes. I graduated in May. I'm 17 years old. I turned 18 in June, and I left to go to boot camp in July. Wow. Yeah, 89.
So why not the option of going to college instead of joining the
I
Navy?
wasn't there.
No.
At that point in time, you know, my maturity level wasn't there. I was just happy to finish school.
Yeah.
I didn't really take it too seriously. One of my regrets in life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was the same being in Mississippi. I always had my eye on the military. So a lot of classmates went to university, but I was always focused on joining the Navy, joining the Army.
Yeah, same here. I have come from a military family. Like my uncles and cousins, they all Army, and just so happened I joined the Navy and still get flack till this day when I get home. They trying to hit you with that YMCA song all the damn time. Like, really, man? Come on. Go sit down somewhere with that.
Yeah.
In the Navy. You're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we had a lot of fun in the Navy on base. What was your greatest moments or the most fun you had? Was it playing football or stirring up trouble on base? What was your...
Well, I just think stirring up trouble, especially like when you moved out and you started living with Jose and those guys,
Right.
That was the fun room. So after we finished work and going in there and, everybody had their radios, their stereo system. Kev had his stereo system at one stage. We used to go out there and that was fun. We really look forward to that.
Yeah. I'm going to put that in here because Lee was a young man that would challenge the captain of the base.
XO.
You had no cutoff valve. Yeah, I don't care who you are, he's gonna challenge you. Especially when we out in the public, we playing sports together. If you're gonna play sports with us, you're part of the crew. So you just it didn't matter. So I'm thinking, Lee, when we put that uniform on tomorrow, it's gonna be trouble.
Yes. Then those were regrets sometimes. Like when we had that baseball team, softball team, and I remember the XO. You can't take it lightly. I mean, if he hit the ball to you, what I'm supposed to do? Just let it go past me and let him get on first base? Nah. So I had to throw him out, but I had a little comedy behind that, which probably didn't do me any favors in the long run.
That's right. He gave you that look.
Yes.
I see you tomorrow.
Seaman Rose. Like, okay, all right.
Yeah. Now, I want to transition into the brotherhood.
Yes.
You're a big part of the brotherhood. Why is that such an important element too?
Well, the brotherhood is very important because being in a foreign place and having some brothers out here, you really need to have that connection and that bond. And that's very important, especially for our families, for our kids, and just as a community. When we first started, we had this organization called the BAAA, which stands for Black American Association of Australia. And that was great because we always exercise and practice American events, Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, which was great for the kids. But then that fizzled out. So we still decided to keep that bond together and tight. So we came up with an idea of like, let's just play dominoes on Monday nights. So we got together and started doing that. And that's been a huge success. We used to play every Monday, but now we just recently changed it to Thursdays. And it's great because we get together and we talk shop. We talk politics, we talk family, we talk about current affairs. We just talk about a lot of things.
How many years has that been running?
Close to 25 years. It's great because it gives you that peace of mind and, it keeps that cohesiveness together within, our brotherhood.
Another thing is high on your list is traveling. What are some of the places, one of your favorite places you traveled so far since you've been living here in Australia?
Well, I just recently went to Africa probably about a year and a half ago. South Africa, Durban. I thought that was a major milestone that I had to complete, just to have that connection.
And what was that experience like? When you went there, what did it feel like?
The experience is unreal because I always wanted that connection with the motherland, knowing that this is the crater of civilization where everything began. And I was very fortunate to go there and experience that. The people, the language, the food, the landscape, that meant so much to me. Where it then opposed the stereotype of, did you go on a safari? No, I don't want to go there to see a damn safari. I can see that at the zoo. So I wanted that connection with the motherland. You see a lot of people that look like yourself. You're like, wow, that's, wow. You never did expect that. And what they portray on telly is totally different. But going there and see like your own self, your own kind, like, wow, in the multitude, that's like really major. Just in your own community. It's like, wow, at that population, at that size.
And what about here in Australia? Have you been to any destination here in Australia?
Yes, I've been to Melbourne, I've been to Sydney, I've been to Adelaide, I've been to your major cities out here. Being in Exmount, you know that Australia has a strong love for the outdoors and the beaches and sports as well. Because I'm from Port Arthur, Texas, where we don't go to the beach that much. And outback camping, we don't do that. We're not trying to deal with Jason, Friday the 13th. we don't want that drama, so we stay indoors. When I was done with the Navy in Exmount, I was married at the time, and my wife considered that we should stay in Perth. I thought about it deeply and agreed.
There you go. And speaking on marriage, we both have been there and done that. We both went through that phase of going through marriage and having to go through divorce. Can you share any life lessons learned, good or bad, in that time?
Going through a divorce, it's a process, and it's challenging, and it's daunting, and it's both mentally and physically draining. It takes you through an unfortunate obstacle course that you must get through it, and it creates an unfortunate obstacle that you need to get over in order to continue to live again.
That's a good answer. My own experience is that what I learned, there's many things you learn. It's painful. You have to rebuild your life.
Absolutely.
You have to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
You have to start over. I think one guy mentioned to me, said, when people go through a divorce, it'll take you 12 years to get back to the point that where you once were. And that came to to be a fact in my own life. It took me about
Yes.
12 years to get back. But I'll say my most important, well, one of my lessons that I learned is to be in the moment. Because what I was doing in the marriage, I was never in the moment. If we hanging out or doing stuff as a family or amongst friends, I was always somewhere else.
Right.
And because when you have a growth mindset, you're always constantly trying to think of ways of improving your life. And by me not being in the moment, it can create problems. That's one big issue. So I think the lesson I learned is to prepare for the future,
Yeah.
but learn to be in the moment. Enjoy our moment right now, our time
Yes.
right now. And that's one key thing I learned. It's about balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It puts you in a position when it's all said and done. It's a sink or swim predicament. You can drown in your sorrows afterwards, or you can't continue living. But like you said, starting all over, you have to do that and reinvent yourself.
yeah. Now, let's talk about your daughter, family. Your father. What has your daughter meant to you?
Oh, my daughter means so much to me. First of all, being blessed to be able to be a parent, being proud that your daughter shows that love and give it back to you. And also, being very proud that just recently she graduated from a university with a law degree. So very proud.
That's a big,
Yes.
big achievement
Yes.
for Sade. Shout out to Sade.
Sade Rose.
Yeah, yeah. Being a father, what would you say has been the biggest challenge that she's given you? Because I know for me as a parent, I think most parents go through this where we are the parents and we don't sometimes want to listen to the child, but sometimes the child can teach us some things about ourselves. Have you had a moment like that with Sade?
Uh, I can just recall when they going through that teenage stage, they just been, just naughty teenagers sometimes. And you think about it and like, wow, the discipline needs to be there. And you got to have that sit down sometimes and talk to them. And when you hear them talk back to you, not in a negative, not in a negative manner, but conversate with you about situations, you have to listen and take that on board. We can't afford to react like our parents treated us.
Right.
Back then we was seen and not heard, so it's different day, different era. So you got to be able to have that relationship with your kids or your kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to, so we were going to talk about this. You recently paid off your mortgage. What made you decide to go ahead and pay that mortgage off as soon as you can?
Well, after the marriage and like you indicated, reinventing and start over, financially, I had to start all over. I had to become a home buyer all over again. And I knew I was capable of paying off my mortgage in 10 years. So I made a plan and I stuck to it and I did just that.
What sort of financial discipline you had to do to maintain that? Because it's one thing to have the idea, another thing to pull it off.
Money management, being careful on how I spend and what I spend it on, and my lifestyle, being frugal and try not to be careless or frivolous. My grandfather, always told me like, hey son, save your money. Put some away for a rainy day. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And the military as well. I remember I ended up with a checkbook. You remember you used to have those checkbooks?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just writing checks left and right, man. I'm not putting my balance down. And I'm just writing them, man. It got to the point to where I got called in the office by my lieutenant. And to have him to go through it and show me, correct me, show me how to do a checkbook, it was kind of embarrassing, but a little bit. I knew that, look, I had to start doing the right thing. And that was a lesson as well too. So right then and there, I knew that I had to be more tight with how I manage my money.
Yeah.
So that was a wake up call.
We're not taught that in school. I mean, you just
Nah.
said you started out as an 18-year-old, so you're not going to have
Yes.
any financial skill set.
None
But those
whatsoever.
are learning, and you learned early on that you were making a mistake, and you corrected that. Now, do you feel like Lee, this is your best chapter in your life right now?
Thus far, I still remain optimistic about the future. As long as I have a strong relationship with my God, and whatever will be, will be.
All right. So what's next for you?
Well, I have plans on going back to America for personal reasons. My mom's is sick, so I might have to sell up everything and go back. So those are the plans that I'm making. It's a big decision, but I feel it'll be worth it instead of living with regrets.
So is that going to be the end of your Australian?
Oh no. I still have family here. I have my daughter here. I have you guys here. So I'm still going to be making my visits and my trips, hopefully 2 or 3 times a year,
Awesome.
all the time. Give me a reason to come back to visit. I just hope you guys are able to house me.
Oh yeah, you got a bed. You got a bed at my place for sure.
Thank you. Thank
We're
you.
gonna miss you around here too. So that'll be how many years of living in Australia?
I want to say close to 37 years or, yeah, around that. Coming out here in 1989 up until this point. I've seen all 20 prime ministers you guys have every 3 years.
As well as the one who went swimming and never came back.
Oh, that's Harold E. Holt. That's my guy, that's our guy,
Yeah, Harold E.
That conspiracy, we don't know if he's been taken by a shark or if the Russians nabbed him. Hey, man, unsure, uncertain.
Okay, so this is our Old Head Mindset podcast. So we like to talk about the wisdom or some of the life lessons that you can share with the audience about your journey and with the setbacks and the growth part of life.
Like with the marriage thing, just bouncing back from that, with parenting, hanging in there, believing in your kid, talk to your kids, finances, just try to stay on top of it. And this is the place to do it. It gives you that peace of mind. It gives you the confidence, simplicity, and that way of life to do it. So you're definitely in the right place to achieve all of those necessities.
Or follow up with that one, what advice would you give your younger self now? Did you can look back and where we started and what advice would you give your younger self?
I would probably give my youngest self, I would say, be 70% more serious and probably 30% more casual with life.
Right. That wouldn't be you. You're a bit of a. You make me laugh, and I love that about you. What I always love about Lee is always been able to make me laugh, and
Yeah.
he's the funniest guy in the room, in any room.
When I met Rick, it was we was friends. It was instant. We became friends, and we're both laid back and friendly. And I remember Rick with that flat top back in the day, looking like James Ingram. Find 100 ways.
Yeah. We all been there. We all had the flat tops
Yeah.
and the ramps and
And you got
illegal
Kevin,
cuts for the
you
Navy.
got Kevin Reed floating around thinking he's a member of New Edition or somebody, or Bobby Brown, or BBD. He's doing a running man everywhere. That's my guy. And you got Terry Baffert up in there.
Yeah.
It's so many guys out there.
Yeah.
A big shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
Terry, Don Rice, James Sheldon, Sean Owens, Tim Stickless,
Chili Chill.
AJ, Chili Chill out here, Andre Williams. And yeah, those guys are still out here in Australia.
Yeah.
And I also want to give a rest in peace to some of the guys that was out here in Australia that passed away. Mel Mumford, Gregory Roberts, we all know him as Oral Can.
Yeah. Charles.
And old man Charlie Brown from Exmouth on that push bike all the time. Shout out to those guys. R.I.P. Love you to death. A pleasure knowing you, spending time with you out here in Perth.
Yeah, I was telling Mary about that the other day, or Tina as well, that this is a special group where over the history of Exmouth, how they had a lot of Navy personnel to come through there, and I'm sure over that time frame, I don't know when the Exmouth, the base was set up. It was in the '60s, maybe even earlier. And I'm sure people moved from Exmouth to Perth and Sydney in different parts. But it's never been a time with such a group of us that I'm aware of that we all moved here. So it was like 10,
within that window, that window
So
of
we call them
time.
the Exmouth crew. And,
Yes.
it's quite a lot of us that's moved to Perth and Sydney in different places
Yeah.
at one given time.
And that's good because it made it easier for us, to get established and to settle in and knock back some of that homesickness because we have each other here.
So Lee, how would you describe your Australian journey?
Oh man, I describe my journey as something that's like, I'm so glad I made that choice and that decision because it helped me out with so many things in terms of becoming who I became. And that journey is still going on. And it's been wonderful. Yeah, and I would recommend it to anybody that decide of wanting to come out here to live. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, give it a try. They say variety is the spice of life. If it doesn't work out, you can always go back home.
That's right.
At least you say you gave it a go, mate. That's my Aussie accent. I'm still working on it.
Still working on it. Yeah, I keep working on that, man. So I'll ask you a question I ask everyone with regards to Australia. Is it the people, the culture, or the country? What stands out?
Okay, let me see. The people is good because Australians are friendly and welcoming. The culture is good as well because you can go out and go places where there's no violence. You can have that peace of mind. And also with the Australian culture, we get 4 weeks a year for vacationing. That's a lot. That you can travel, you can stay at home if you want to. I think no other country, you know, gives you 4 weeks a year. So that's a extremely, you know, great culture, you know. And like I indicated before, Australia has a strong love for the outdoors and beaches and sports, and that's great as well. But I would probably go with the culture because those 4 weeks, man, I can do a lot with 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's it. Now I need a funny story. Give me a funny Australian story that you can
A
share.
funny Australian story.
Yeah.
Let me think. Okay, I remember when I first came out here, and I turned on the TV, and I saw a black Elvis Presley. I think that dude was from India, Bombay or Delhi or something like that. And I thought that was so funny. And I realized how Australia love their Elvis. You
Yeah,
know,
they do.
doesn't matter who you are. You know, you do that Elvis impression, man, you got him. So I thought that was funny. Another funny thing too, you know, coming out here and summertime it's 107 degrees out there, and it's hot day and night. And at night, in the 90s, the houses didn't have air conditioning back then. So it was hot as hell. You know, at night you trying to sleep, you got a wet towel on your forehead, you got ice cubes underneath your armpit, between your toes. It's hot as hell, it's sweaty.
Yeah.
You know, you sweating like the next pig in line at a slaughterhouse.
That's right. That's Australia, boy. All right. So is there anything else you want to share today?
Look, I just, thanks for having me on board, and yeah, to air out some of this conversation and this journey and how it happened for me. And yeah, this is great. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Lee. Listening to your story is similar to your granddad, how you both left your comfort zone and moved to a new location, leaving family behind, building a life, and you building a life in another country, having to deal with what life throw at you and setbacks and challenges and stuff like that. Taking a risk, very similar to your granddad and grandparents. It's just a reminder, you know, that success doesn't always come fast, but it comes to those who are consistent. And you've had your setback, as I said, having to rebuild your life in another country. And really, that's what this series is all about. Real people, real journey, and real growth. So if there's anyone out there who enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the Old Head Mindset podcast and share it with someone who may need to hear it. And also, drop a comment and let us know what's your biggest take from this episode. Thanks for coming on the show, Lee. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's been a special one.
Anytime, brother.